Raw Aussie athlete.
Okay, so last night I made some kale chips. I got those 2 bunches of kale, which were, there was 5 big leaves of kale in each bunch, so I had 10 big leaves of kale. I de-stemmed them. I then put all the leaves, threw the stems away in the compost, put all the leaves into the biggest bowl I could find, tore them up into pieces probably about the size of my hand, or somewhere between the size of my fist and the size of my hand. And then I made some sauce in the Vitamix. So I put in 1 kilogram of tomatoes and 700 grams of strawberries into there. De-stemmed took the stems off the strawberries, chopped the tomatoes up in little pieces, into quarters, and threw them in, blended it all up, and then poured it into the big bowl that I had. I had a super big bowl. So I'm going here. Use this bowl, put all the leaves in here, poured the sauce over it, and that actually wasn't big enough to hold all of the kale, so I had another bowl a little bit smaller than this one, poured some of the sauce into there, and then I just, with my hands, massage the sauce through, making sure it gets over all of the leaves, just really turning the kale leaves over and over again until all the leaves were covered, because it is nicer to have sauce throughout the mixture. But if you miss a few bits, it's no big deal. They're still going to be dry kale chips. They'll taste good. And so the 10 leaves of kale made 3 trays like this one. Close up there. So 3 trays like that, and I put it on in the dehydrator. Got an Excalibur dehydrator, a 9 tray, and I put it on the 3. I used 2 shelves for each tray because the kale stands pretty high up when you start out. So on every second shelf, the middle 3, I put the dehydrator on 115 degrees Fahrenheit and left that in overnight. So it was around 12 hours or so. And then, so you want to take it out when it's bone dry. It's not, you might enjoy it. Some people enjoy it when it's a little bit chewy and not quite fully dried, but most people are after the crunch when they go for kale chips, and overnight we'll get it to that point. So the cost of this, it cost me $8, which was, it was $3.50 for the 700 grams of strawberries and $1.50 for the kilogram of tomatoes, and $3 for the kale. It was $1.50 per big bunch. So I'd say they're pretty cheap prices in Australia because I buy in bulk usually, and I was buying a whole box of tomatoes, so that's why I got the great price. And they're not organic as well, which obviously makes it cheaper. I prefer organic, but it's not really an option to get organic where I live, unless I grow my own, which I also do for some things. So let's give it a taste test. You can see where I had there was some sauce left in the bottom of the bowl after I finished mixing it, and I just poured that over the top, so you can see some spots where there's thicker sauce than others and other spots where there's less sauce. And that's cool. It kind of just tastes a bit different in those spots. So yeah, delicious. I've never actually tried the tomato strawberry kale chips before, but very delicious. I could see myself making this again. That's delicious. So I just wanted to add one more thing. Is that when you take the chips off the tray, and of course I've got them on a Teflex or a Paraflex sheet here. so that to contain, because initially there's going to be some fluid from the sauce that you pour on top, and you don't want that to just run straight through the regular sheets here. So you have the Teflex or Paraflex sheet down, put the sauced kale chips on top, dry them out, and once they dry from overnight, the easiest way to get them off is to just peel back the Paraflex sheet, and you can see you can just easily get that off. You can see the sauce on the bottom is dried against the Paraflex sheet. That's going to be really tasty. And then put them in an airtight container if you're not going to eat them straight away. Because if you leave them just in the regular air, they're going to get moist again and get soft, and then they're kind of chewy. They're still edible at that point, but it's certainly not a way to store them. So we're going to store them till the next day or longer. You could store these outside. I would suggest you could store these for several weeks. But for most people, they don't tend to last that long because they eat them. But you want them in an airtight container. So get them out of the dehydrator, let the heat come off, whatever warmth is left in them, let that come off, because if you put warm dried kale chips in here that are still warm, then it'll sweat in here, and then you'll end up that they'll get moldy and you won't be able to eat them. So once you take them out of the dehydrator, let them cool for 5 to 10 minutes, then put them in an airtight container and store them wherever you want to store them. Just in a regular cupboard is fine, or you could even store them in the fridge if it's actually airtight, but it has to be airtight. Enjoy.